Hey everybody, so in this video I'm going to talk to you about doing a room makeover and how you would calculate the cost of replacing a floor, for example, or painting walls. So we'll start off with the floor. So the first thing you want to do is figure out how big the floor is. So for a flat surface like a floor or a wall, the way that we measure how large it is by measuring its area. And a common formula for area is the area of a rectangle, which is its length times by its width. So if we wanted to figure out how big the floor is, for example, we would measure how wide it is and how long it is. And usually we measure how wide or how long something is in meters, especially if it's on the scale of a room, because it's a little bit bigger than, say, a desk or something. So it's width and we measure its length. So you'll have to do that yourself with a measuring tape, or if you're doing it in the classroom, you can do it with meter sticks that I can lend you. So let's say you're measuring your bedroom at home and you measure that the bedroom is 5 meters wide and it's 4.5 meters long. To find the area of that bedroom, then you just use your area formula. The area is equal to the length times the width. So area is equal to length times the width. The length in this room is 5 meters and the width is 4.5 meters. So if we multiply the two of these, we get 22.5 meters squared. So that will be our area of that floor. So now that I know how big the floor is that I want to cover, let's say I want to put in wooden flooring, what I will do is I will Google how much wooden flooring costs per square meter. So you can see here I did just that. It wasn't very much more complicated than what I just said. I Googled how much does wooden flooring cost per square meter. When I scrolled down, I found a website and it told me the following. So you can see here the name of the website was RH Wood Floors. So when I read down through it, I found this paragraph. It says at RH Wood Floors, we usually charge approximately 30 to 40 euro per square meter. Again, depending on how you want it laid and what type of floor you require installed. So let's say we're going to go for the cheaper end of this and we're going to say it's about 30 euros per square meter, right? We already said that we have 22.5 square meters to cover. Each of those is going to cost 30 euro. So 22.5 times 30 euro gives us a total cost there of 675 euros to cover that. So if you're doing your project to a budget, that might eat out a big chunk of your budget, right? To replace it with a wooden floor. So maybe be aware of that. You might want to then reconsider, maybe a carpet might be cheaper, so you could Google how much does carpet cost per square meter and see if that's maybe a little bit better to go with your price range. But yeah, just use wooden flooring as an example. Maybe 675 euro is a price that you're very happy with. So now let's have a look back at our walls. So walls are going to be pretty much the same, except when we're measuring walls, we're going to have to find the area of 4 walls, right? We're going to find how high it is by how wide it is. And we're going to do that for each of 4 walls, right? So it's just, I guess, important to lay it out neatly so that whoever's looking at your work can figure out what you're doing, right? So if you're going to have a map here, let's say this is wall 1, this is wall 2. Let's say you need to have a map, this is wall 3, this is wall 4. Now we already know some of the dimensions here because we've measured them already. So we know that this room here, or this wall, is 5 meters wide. We know this one is 4.5 meters wide. And then this opposite one here must be 5. And this opposite one here must be 4.5 as well. 4.5 meters. So let's say we measure the height of the room then, and the room is 2 meters high, or we'll say 2.2 meters high. All right. So for wall 1, we know that it's 5 meters wide, and we know it's 2.2 meters high. So 5 multiplied by 2.2 is going to give us our area. Because our formula for area, remember, is width by length or width by height, just the two dimensions multiplied by each other. So width by length, let's say, right, so 5 meters multiplied by 2.2 meters. So that gives us an area of 11 meters squared. Wall 3 actually is the opposite wall, and we know it's going to look the same. So our width by our length for wall 3 here, it's also going to be 5 meters wide and 2.2 meters high, giving us a total area of 11 meters squared. 5 by 2.2. And for wall 2, since we've already done wall 3, for wall 2, we know it's going to be 4.5 meters wide and 2.2 meters tall. If you want to draw a little diagram to help yourself, that's cool. So 4.5 meters by 2.2 meters tall. So to get the area, it's 4.5 times 2.2, which gives us 9.9 meters squared as our area. And then wall 4 actually is going to be the exact same. So it's going to be 4.5 meters wide times 2.2 meters high. So the area there is 9.9 meters squared as well. And to get the total area of all we need to cover, right, we're going to measure the area of the first wall, the second wall, the third wall, and the fourth wall. Add them all together. So it's 11 plus 11 plus 9.9 plus 9.9. So total area is equal to 11 plus 11 plus 9.9 plus 9.9. So what I'm saying here then is a total area of 41.8 meters squared. And now the process here is going to be very similar to the process before. We just figure out what is the cost to paint a wall per square meter. Now if you stick around and watch the later part of the video, I'll explain how I reached this figure, but it is kind of convenient because I did some maths, and the cost per litre, or cost to paint a meter squared, I should say, is about €1. And now a lot of the time you might need 2 coats of paint, so we can multiply that by 2. We can say that it's €2 to paint a meter squared, right? So if we get our 41.8 meters squared, and we know that it's €2 to paint each meter squared, then the cost of painting this particular set of walls will be €83.60. Now if you want to make it a little bit harder, or more accurate even, you can complicate the maths a little bit more and say, well, when I'm calculating the area and you add up the area of the walls, you might take away the area of the windows, so find out their width by their length and subtract them, because obviously you're not going to need to paint over the windows and stuff, alright? So that could be a way you could add a little bit of an extra challenge into this one. Just subtract the windows from your total area when you're calculating that, okay? So that's the general gist of it. If you want to use my cost of €2 to paint each meter squared, that's fine by me. But if you want to, again, stretch yourself a little bit more and make your project a little bit more showy, you can watch the second half of the video where I go through how I calculated the cost per meter squared, and have a look at that and see if that's interesting to you. And it might be something you want to add into your project. So how I calculated the cost per meter squared of paint, right? What I did was I looked at this website from Dulux, or it's Crown Paint, and I saw here that they said that the amount of wall that a litre can cover is 14 meters squared. So if 1 liter covers 14 meters squared, then I can divide both sides by 14 to find out how much 1 meter squared, how much paint you need for that. So when I divided that out, I found that you need 0.07 liters to cover 1 meter squared. Then I looked at the cost of some paints, and I saw this Dulux Easy Care paint. It looks kind of like middle of the road, not too expensive, not too cheap as a paint. And I saw that they were selling this for about 35 euros for 2.5 liters. So 2.5 liters is 35 euros. Now I know it says it's 33.59 here, but it was slightly different prices for different types of paint. So an averagey kind of a figure was about 35, and I thought that would be a little bit easier to work with. What I did then, I wanted to find out how much 0.07 liters of paint would cost. So first I found out 1 liter by dividing both sides by 2.5. So kind of like when we did a currency conversion. So on the left hand side we get 1 liter of paint, and on the right hand side we get 14 euro. Now to get 0.07, again it's a little bit like currency conversion. We're going to turn our 1 liter to 0.07 by multiplying 1 by 0.07, and then we have to do the same thing to the right hand side, multiply by 0.07. So 1 times 0.07 gives us 0.07 liters. And on the right hand side then, when we multiply 14 by 0.07, we get 98 cent, which I'm going to say is roughly €1, right? So we can put 0.07 liters, because I actually rounded the 0.07 liters a bit. That's roughly equal to €1. So beforehand we said that 0.07 liters of paint will cover 1 meter squared, and we know that 0.07 liters of paint, right, is €1 in cost, and it covers 1 meter squared. So actually it works out really well that €1 is roughly the cost of 1 meter squared. Now if you wanted to do 2 coats, because I think that's kind of standard, you pay twice as much, right? So each meter squared you have to pay €1 once and €1 a second time. So we could say then that it's €2 per meter squared is our cost. Again, you don't need to do this whole section here in your project if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed by it. It's probably a lot. And I know you'd be looking at different types of paint and stuff. So you can just, if you want to, say that you're going to assume that each meter squared of wall costs €1 to paint, and that you're going to do 2 coats or whatever. And you can list that in your assumptions, and that's fine. This kind of step here is really if you're looking for the highest marks. So up to you what kind of a level you're looking for.